Hello, my name is Lill Sarv from TalTech Finnish Center for Smart Cities, and I am talking with Andrew, who is a new project manager for a brand new cybersecurity horizon project called IRIS. So I have some questions to Andrew. So how did you end up working in the field of cybersecurity?
So I started my career in just general IT, so I worked in networks and data storage, and I started to work in a lot of projects with critical infrastructure, so on railways and city infrastructure, and I began to see the importance of cybersecurity in this environment, so it was then I decided to merge my career into a pathway that was focused on cybersecurity and especially city infrastructure.
So there was no sudden event that made you understand that yes, this is something that I need to work with?
I think there's some pivotal events for cybersecurity. If you look at events such as Stuxnet, it certainly elevated the importance of cybersecurity of critical infrastructure, and we've seen campaigns around ransomware. But I guess there's a general trend that in the early 2000s, 2010s, cybersecurity became a more pivotal topic for both in the tech industry and in government, and a lot of younger people who are working in IT generally started to position their careers in this area.
So why is IRIS project interesting for you?
I think IRIS project is very interesting in the fact that we're taking cybersecurity of cities as an important topic, and we're using it in diverse use cases amongst diverse cities. So Barcelona is very much looking at city infrastructure, Helsinki is looking at smart energy, and Tallinn is looking at the autonomous transportation industry. These are really important sectors, and so providing some cybersecurity research focused on defensive solutions is really important. And within this project there's some really novel work packages, such as in Tallinn looking at creating digital twins of physical infrastructure. So we may not be able to hack an autonomous vehicle because it may have safety causations in real life, but if we could create a digital clone of it, we could then investigate its use for cybersecurity and create cyber defensive mechanisms that protect both the vehicle and the people inside the vehicle. So it's a really interesting project that has real world outcomes.
So do you have any examples of what are the most interesting cases of cyber threats that you have heard of?
I think the ones for me are the sophisticated ones around, if we're talking about infrastructure, where a cyber attack manipulates the physical properties of a device which is providing incredibly important services to the public. So this might be water treatment, this may be energy. So we've seen, for instance, the crash override Industroyer attack on Ukraine, which caused the power grid in the Ukraine to suffer a brief outage. These are very sophisticated attacks, and they're very interesting from a network defense perspective.
Can you bring some examples of Estonia, maybe not so sophisticated ones?
I think in Estonia, because the landscape is, there's a lot of smaller business, there tends to be larger campaigns around ransomware and social engineering. So there's been a number of cases of ransomware against Estonian hospitals using social engineering, which is kind of phishing, so sending you emails saying, please click this link. That tends to be most popular within the Estonian context.
So it has been argued that the real smart city is invisible one, because the services are so easy to use that you don't even notice that these are kind of connected with any kind of smart city solutions. So how important part cybersecurity has in keeping the smart city invisible?
I think it's incredibly important. Cybersecurity, I think, is the glue that connects all the different interactions of the smart city together and protects the security and privacy of the the citizen. People should be aware of cybersecurity, but cybersecurity should not limit the functionality of the smart city. And I think that's an important part. We should have usable security and security solutions which promise safety and resilience for the citizen.
So how high is the chance of becoming a cybercrime victim in Estonia?
I think it totally depends on your activity online, and it is also a demographic thing. So, for instance, if you are operating a small business, it's quite likely that you'll be have one of these ransomware or spear phishing attacks, as I said. There have been cases such as dating scam attacks on the older population. There have been attacks which basically aim to steal your ID credentials from telephoning you and asking you. So there's a moderate chance that you'll be a victim of a cyber attack in Estonia, and so that's why you need to have a certain level of awareness about cybersecurity.
But now about the cities. How are attacks on smart city systems staged? Like if you want to test some cybersecurity solution, then you need to have access to some city infrastructure. Also, how come like the cities allow you this access?
I think what we've been doing and what IRIS will provide and other projects such as Cityscape is build testbed infrastructure or provide real-world infrastructure which is in a boundary. So the most important thing for us is safety. We can't just do a cyber attack and then allow that vehicle or that system to operate in the real world. No, we have to have a testbed environment in which we can assess the real-world applicability of attacks and then take those kind of defensive mechanisms into the real-world testbed, real-world environment. So that's why we have testbeds and controlled environments to be able to simulate cybersecurity and assess the vulnerability of our real-world platforms to cyber threats. And if they are vulnerable, then we can provide a certain level of defensive mechanisms as well as the process to deal with those cyber threats should they become a reality.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.